I'm going to give you an example, Leonie, thanks for sharing, of a North Star metric. This is not a regenerative North Star metric, but I thought it would be a good start to first look at, okay, what's best practice here in the non-regenerative space, right? And I just want you to start by looking on the right side here. Spotify's North Star metric is time spent listening to music. Now, why? Their purpose is to maximize profit. Their business model is to have more people spend time there so that they can get more in advertising, right? That's their business model. So whatever Spotify tells you, their true why is to actually do that, right? It's to profit maximize, like most tech companies who have very fancy purpose statements nowadays. So if that is their true why, their best North Star metric they should start measuring their success towards is how much total time is spent listening to music. The more total time spent listening to music, the more profit they get through advertising. Once they've defined that, they then start to reverse engineer their growth levers. And this is the beauty about having a North Star metric as well, alongside the whole alignment piece, alongside the whole momentum piece. It's then thinking how can we actually start to play around with different levers, even in product here. This is mainly in product levers that will enable us to maximize our North Star metric and therefore get closer to our why, right? So what does this look like for Spotify? In the first layer, in the middle layer here, the input metrics, we're looking at bring users back more often. So if they bring users back more often, they will result into more time spent listening in the app. The other main growth lever they identified is to increase time spent per session. So not only do they want to bring users back to Spotify to listen to music, but they also want to ensure that when they're back, they spend more time listening to music. So those are the two biggest product-led growth levers for Spotify. Now, if you go one step left, we can then break it down even further and start to ask, well, how do we actually bring users back more often? I can tell you now, after hundreds probably of failed experiments, Spotify identified that adding new artist notifications is one of the best ways to bring users back more often. They've also identified that adding recommendations from friends and family, as well as automated recommendations that they generate from their AI based on what you listen to, again, bring users back more often. If we look at the bottom biggest growth lever that they've identified, they realized, well, how can we increase time spent per session? They realized, or actually validated, better said, that creating playlists is one of the key growth lever to increase time spent per session. So the more playlists that Spotify creates, the longer the time people spend when they open the app. Now, another thing that they discovered is when they, and who loves their Discover Weekly playlist? I'm guilty as charged here. It brings me back and I want to listen to every single song as soon as Monday hits. So they've brought me back every Monday and they've ensured that I've actually listened to a few hours every Monday morning, because actually it's one thing I look forward to every Monday morning now. So this is an example of a traditional North Star metric and the power this can have in even creating ideas of how you can start optimizing towards what matters most, towards what can move the needle the most.